You can scan around the whole vehicle and maybe even go spy on the neighbors. What's Bill doing? Bill is trimming my tree. I knew he was doing that. He lied to me. Hey crew, I've got the key to that 24 Mercedes-Benz E450. We are going to take it for a quick drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. You're looking at the all-new 11th generation E-Class, and with this new gen, Mercedes-Benz is attempting to bridge the gap between their internal combustion E's and their all-electric EQs. Confused yet? I certainly am. Up front, we've got this single-pane black tri-star studded grille, it's fun to say, connecting the redesigned headlights that look a little friendlier than before with LED DRLs and turn signals. Down low is some gloss black accenting with the night package. There are functional air curtains, and this one is painted in Manufaktur Alpine Grey. It's a milky gray color, non-metallic, and it looks good with the black accents. At the side is a set of optional 21-inch multi-spoke wheels. 18-inch wheels are standard, and these are wrapped in Continental all-season tires, 245 section front and 275 at the back. With that night package, the mirror caps, window trim, and lower sills are blacked out. The door handles flush mount when the car is locked and pop out like this when it's unlocked. The profile looks excellent on those 21s, and there's now an AMG-inspired crease starting at the headlight running all the way back to the taillight. I also like the 3-box shape instead of a coupe swoop to that roofline. And then around back, we find some redesigned TriStar-inspired taillights with LED turn signals, and that light bar is connected over the middle. Down low is a jutting black plastic diffuser with chrome exhaust finishers. I say with a question mark because actually this panel is blocked off and the real pipes are hidden up underneath. Can't say I understand that decision. Why not bring them straight out the back? The unformed, doughy look of the EQs is not the right design direction for me, but at least the elements Mercedes-Benz took from them are not their worst, and so this new E-Class is still a handsome looking sedan. My question for you is, which generation E-Class looks better? The last gen, the 10th, or this new one, the 11th? Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up and looking inside at this pinnacle trimmed E450 with the new Tonka Brown colored Nappa Leather interior with diamond quilted seat stitching and seat perforations. No standard rear seat heating. On the doors, we've got 2 tones of leather, and then it moves down into injection molding. I like this textured trim for the armrest. You get 1 touch-up down windows and a Burmester 3D surround sound system. Stepping in, behind my own seat at 6 feet tall, I've got plenty of knee room here, and then the foot pockets are nice and large, so my thigh support is excellent. Headroom is sufficient. My head just barely clears that roof, but that gets the thumbs up from me. In the middle, we've got air vents and no third zone of climate with 2 USB-C ports down low. The drive shaft hump is considerable, so getting over that isn't super easy. And then here in the middle seat, yeah, my head is pressed against the roof. So 3 full-size adults in the back might be a bit of a squeeze, but more often than not, there will either be a kid here or no one at all. And then you pull down the armrest and have 2 deploying cup holders. Very fancy. Also, there is a panoramic sunroof on every new E-Class. Now let's check out the front. Door close noise is solid. And there's smart keyless entry for both the rear and front doors. All new E-Classes get standard front heated seats with lumbar and power adjustments. These add ventilation on this pinnacle trim. The front doors have power adjusting and power folding door mirrors. We get 3 positions of memory for the driver's seat, and then down low, large door pockets. Pull this tab to open the power operated trunk lid, and inside we find 19 cubic feet of space. It is a cavernous trunk, and under the floor there's not a spare tire, but you do get more storage. To fold down those rear seats, just pull on these tabs and they pop on down. There is a power close and lock feature on that trunk lid. And as I nestle into the driver's seat, we can take a peek at this redesigned cabin. Starting with the steering wheel, the feel of that leather is fantastic and the thickness of the rim is perfect for my hands. The style of the wheel, Not my favorite with this gloss black that collects dust and smudges, nor do I like that there are only touch-sensitive controls, because if you're like me and your hands clam up sometimes, then the touch response isn't always perfect. I do like this digital gauge cluster that is reconfigurable and high resolution. I like the head-up display. I like the ambient lighting around the cabin. And this one is the leather package, so the dashboard is trimmed in leather. There's a new dash camera to run some of the native apps of this third generation MBUX system like Zoom and TikTok. And this third gen was redesigned to be much more intuitive, and it is mission accomplished here. So much easier to use. The graphics look a little cartoony. I do like that the climate controls are always easy to find, and the system itself is very responsive. It also has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now we're looking at the optional Superscreen setup, which adds a third passenger screen that only works when there is a butt in that seat. And if the driver keeps getting distracted, kind of looking over at whatever the passenger is watching, the system knows and will make that screen go black for him or her while keeping it visible to the passenger. It's cool technology to keep everyone safe. Here in the center, we've got open pour wood trim. Slide this forward to find 2 cup holders, 2 USB-C ports, and a wireless charging pad. And then under the leather top console is a decent bit of storage with 2 more USB-Cs as part of the USB Advanced package. Underneath this screen, we've got redundancies for drive modes, for your surround view camera system, and then for the common controls you want to switch on and off while driving. Visibility is pretty great. That C-pillar is a bit of a blind spot, but there is standard blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic. And then above my head are controls for the sunroof that work with swipes of the finger. Overall, this cabin in particular has a lot of options that bring the price point just under $91,000. And even with that, it still feels like it's missing a couple things like a third zone of climate control or rear seat heating. But otherwise, it feels really upscale. And importantly, the new technology, while becoming more sophisticated, is also becoming easier to use. Now let's go take the new E450 for a drive. All right, let's fire it up. Oh my. Such restraint from the turbo inline 6 on startup. I mean, you hear the chimes, you hear the AC come on, you barely hear that motor. Hello, cabin crew. Thank you for joining me for this first drive in the 24 Mercedes-Benz E450. I will begin by selecting drive modes. Here, I don't want to start in sports, nor individual, nor eco. I'm going to select comfort. To go into reverse, I pull up on the gear selection stock, and that prompts an ultra high resolution backup camera system with trajectory lines. I've got a bird's eye view here. I can go full on widescreen rear angle. I can do a 3D projection. This one's cool. You can scan around the whole vehicle and maybe even go spy in the neighbors. What's Bill doing? Bill is trimming my tree. I knew he was doing that. He lied to me. Backing up. Parking sensors going. I love this view. You can see around the cars parked next to you so no one sneaks up on you. And I'll begin with a turning radius test as per usual. Let's go to the front-facing camera. That's already going. Crank the wheel and find a phenomenal turning circle thanks to the standard rear wheel steering system. 4.5 degrees of rear wheel steer makes a huge difference for pivoting this E450. Now for the turn signal sound, which is a light tapping that I can't say I love. What about the world famous horn test? Ooh, I don't like the sound of that either, but then again, neither will anyone else, so they better not cut you off or they have to hear that horn. Powertrain in the new eclass. If you go with the E350, the entry-level model, then you've got a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that makes 255 horsepower. Or if you have the E450, then you've got a turbo inline 6-cylinder. It's a 3-liter unit, and it makes 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Both motors come with a mild hybrid system to kind of run some accessory functions, like if you're at a stoplight and you got the start-stop system going, when the engine shut off, you can keep having cold air come in through the system because that's the electric motor taking care of that. And they also are both paired with a 9-speed multi-clutch automatic gearbox that, for the most part, is very, very smooth. There are only a couple situations like imperfect throttle inputs or under certain conditions of braking, you feel a clunkiness to those gear changes akin to a typical dual clutch transmission. This is a wet clutch system and it is smoother than a dual clutch, but it's not quite the same level of refinement as a torque converter automatic. In the comfort drive mode, getting up to speed is a smooth operation, and the ride comfort, as standard, the E450 has steel springs with adaptive dampers, but this one has the optional air suspension, and so there's a good degree of waft to the ride compliance. But riding on these 21-inch wheels with low-profile tires means that I still feel the impacts of the road, not to a degree of harshness necessarily, but some firmness there that I think would be lessened with a little more tire sidewall to cushion those blows. Now as the speeds pick up, I'm going to quiet up so we can listen for the cabin volume. Alright, so on this louder road surface that's an imperfect slate, I'm getting a fair amount of tire noise, but now on the smoother tarmac, let me try again. Much better. The tire noise is now just a light hum. You do, over certain things like manhole covers or lane marking dividers, you do hear those impacts like I feel them from the low profile tires, but the wind noise is just a faint rustle. This really settles in at these higher speeds. And the seat comfort is excellent. These highly adjustable chairs, all the tilt and telescope of the wheel. I found a great driving posture for myself, and I can just sink in and relax. But when passing power is required, what does the E450 have on tap in the sport drive mode? Ooh. Well, for one, a whole lot more character from that inline 6. The note is awesome. And then that's followed up with a healthy degree of shove. I'm pushed back pretty hard into these chairs at full throttle. Wow, it picks up speed. I mean, really, this is 375 horsepower? Not that that's nothing, but this feels like more than 400 horsepower. Just from the sensation of G-force. And the gear changes, while not lightning fast, don't have much delay. It'll drop down a couple gears and give you the momentum you're looking for. Then if I want the option of manual control, at least temporarily, I can just pull on these paddles. The gear changes are prompt. Though if I don't touch the right paddle, it'll still upshift for me. So it's not full-on manual operation. But to have some level of input and decent speed to the gear changes, for a non-AMG, I'm happy with this. And I'm real happy with the noise and speed. Of course, on the other end of speed is the need to slow down. And so the E450's braking is adequate. It's not amazing. The feel of the pedal more than anything kind of giving me pause. But the braking force itself is solid. This electrically assisted steering rack is heavily boosted, so it doesn't require much effort at all to turn into a corner. But the buildup of resistance mid-corner is appreciable, so I feel like I have some level of control that's then countered somewhat by the fact that the suspension is clearly tuned for comfort, not for dynamics. It's a bit too floaty. All right, but what about the acceleration from a dig? I've got a straight piece of road here and a race box set up to record a real-world 0 to 60 test. So let me brake boost it off the line and see how we do. And there's 60 in 4.65 seconds. Don't sleep on this new E-Class. It'll get ya. Now, as I pop it into the Eco Drive mode to cut that throttle response and save that fuel, let's talk about the fuel economy of the E450. The EPA rates this vehicle at 22 mpg in the city, 31 on the highway, and 25 combined. And the top speed is 130 miles per hour. The starting figure for the 450 is $69,000, and I told you as tested, this one with a lot of options is a hair under $91,000. This E450 is going to compete most directly with the new BMW 540i xDrive that starts at $66,000. It makes the same 375 horsepower, gets to 60 in about the same 4.5 seconds, but its fuel economy is 3 mpg better at 28 combined. It'll also jockey with the Audi A6 Premium 55 that starts at $63,000, only makes 335 horsepower, gets to 60 in 4.9 seconds, and his fuel economy tying this at 25 combined. In many ways, this new E-Class is an improvement over its predecessor, including these advanced driver assistance features that I'm enjoying right now, like adaptive cruise control and lane change assist and steering assistance. They're all pulled off pretty close to flawlessly. Bonus feature, sound visualization. The ambient lighting dances to the beat of the music. And in general, Mercedes has been able to modernize this new E-Class while retaining the more traditional sedan aesthetic that I appreciate. And inside the cabin, yes, this car has a lot of options, but it does feel highly luxurious. The technology is more capable than ever, yet more intuitive than the predecessor. The rear-wheel steering system makes this vehicle super maneuverable, while the turbo inline-6 hybrid makes it very quick. Not everything is perfect. The big wheels look great on the outside, but they do create a firmer ride over bumps in the road. And the suspension, being as floaty as it is, makes for some waft around town, but it never allows you to really enjoy corner carving in the E450 to the extent that you would do that in this car. And finally, even loaded up with options to the point of being just under $91,000, we still don't have things like standard rear climate control or rear seat heating. While I am typically one to favor lateral dynamics in a vehicle, and therefore the 5 Series might speak to me a little bit more, this new E-Class in all other categories seems to have the edge, including the fact that you can make TikToks from your car. I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV drive review, and I'll see you again next time.